What if I told you that silence, true, deliberate silence, can be more powerful than the loudest voice in the room? That by choosing to remain silent, you could command more respect, unsettle your critics, and unmask the true intentions of others. Imagine wielding silence like a weapon, cutting through chaos, noise, and confusion with nothing but your unwavering stillness. This isn't about retreating or avoiding confrontation. This is about mastery. Mastery over your emotions, your reactions, and most importantly, yourself. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, said it best: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you choose silence, you don't retreat, you ascend. Stay with me as we uncover 5 unexpected reactions that arise when you simply go silent. Each one is a lesson in Stoic resilience, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the transformative power of silence, but also feel an undeniable pull to master it in your own life. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This is just one chapter in our journey through Stoic wisdom, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's begin. When silence unmasks insecurity. When you go silent, the world around you doesn't quiet down. Instead, it amplifies. The chatter grows louder, the movements more frantic, and the intentions of those around you begin to unravel. Why? Because silence disrupts the status quo. It forces others to confront their own insecurities, doubts, and fears. This reaction is both profound and deeply revealing. Consider this. In a heated argument, the instinct is to speak louder, to dominate the exchange, to ensure your voice is heard. But what happens when one person, just one, refuses to participate in the noise? They stand apart, unmoved, and suddenly the spotlight shifts. The silence becomes deafening. The insecurity of the other person begins to show as they scramble to fill the void, their arguments faltering, their confidence shaken. Epictetus once observed, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your silence, then, is not a reaction but a choice that exposes the vulnerabilities of those who rely on noise to assert themselves. Think about the last time you were in a conflict or a tense conversation. Did you feel the pull to defend yourself, to prove your point, to argue until the other person yielded? This urge, while human, is precisely what Stoicism teaches us to overcome. Instead of reacting, silence offers a pause that reveals not only the other person's intentions, but also your own capacity for restraint. In that moment, you gain clarity. You see through the emotions, the ego, and the noise, and what's left is truth. Silence also challenges others in ways they don't expect. It forces them to reflect on their actions, their words, and their motives. When you refuse to engage, you deny them the fuel they need to keep their fire burning. Instead of feeding the flames, you stand firm, letting them burn themselves out. This is not passive aggression, it's active mastery. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you always have the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. So, what's the lesson here? Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of control. It's a statement that says, "I will not be swayed by your chaos." When you choose silence, you don't just protect your peace, you unsettle the peace of those who depend on your reaction to validate their behavior. And in that unsettling, their true selves are revealed. How silence demands respect. Silence, when wielded with intention, carries a weight that no amount of words can replicate. In a world where everyone is vying for attention, speaking louder, faster, and more often, the person who chooses silence stands out. They become an enigma, a mystery that others can't ignore. But why does silence demand respect? The answer lies in its rarity. In our noisy, fast-paced world, silence is a scarce commodity. It's rare to encounter someone who is comfortable with the quiet, who doesn't feel the need to fill every pause with words. When you are that person, you exude a sense of confidence and self-assuredness that others can't help but respect. Seneca put it eloquently, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence. Knowing when to speak and when to remain silent is a skill that only the truly wise possess. But respect isn't given freely, it's earned. And silence earns respect because it demonstrates mastery. Mastery over your emotions, your impulses, and your ego. It shows that you are not a slave to your need for validation, that you don't require others' approval to feel secure. This kind of independence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't seek attention, but command it effortlessly. Consider the leaders, thinkers, and figures in history who have left a lasting impact. Many of them weren't the loudest voices in the room. Instead, they were the ones who spoke only when necessary, whose words carried weight because they weren't squandered on trivialities. Their silence was as much a part of their legacy as their actions. Marcus Aurelius himself embodied this principle, ruling with a quiet strength that inspired loyalty and respect. However, earning respect through silence requires patience and fortitude. It's not about withholding your voice to manipulate others, but about knowing that your silence serves a higher purpose. It's about prioritizing wisdom over impulse, reflection over reaction. When you choose this path, you align yourself with the core tenets of Stoicism: self-control, resilience, and a commitment to virtue. And here's the twist. Respect earned through silence isn't fleeting. It endures because it's rooted in authenticity. When people see that your silence is not a tactic, but a reflection of your character, they respect you not for what you say, but for who you are. The mirror effect. When you choose silence, you unknowingly hold up a mirror to others, forcing them to confront the parts of themselves they'd rather ignore. The true nature of people is rarely seen in their words. It is exposed in their actions and reactions. And more often than not, when they encounter silence, their true selves come to light. The noise of the world serves as a veil, a distraction that allows us to hide behind words, actions, and the illusion of certainty. In the midst of conversation, debates, or arguments, our egos thrive on the back and forth. But when that noise ceases, when one individual refuses to participate in the game, it forces everyone else to face the silence. What do? How do they fill the void? Do they panic, struggle for control, or even worse, reveal their true emotions and weaknesses? This is where silence becomes not only a tool of self-control, but an instrument of profound revelation. Seneca noted, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The silence allows people to confront their own imaginations, those unspoken fears, insecurities, and unresolved desires. When someone is faced with your calm composure, their mind begins to race, questioning their own motivations. Are they being truthful? Are they hiding something? Are they projecting their own vulnerabilities onto the situation at hand? Silence forces them to stop pretending. It shows them the truth, whether they're ready to accept it or not. This mirror effect also serves to expose our own weaknesses. As you stand silent without the need for defense, your inner emotional world begins to settle. The impulse to react fades away, and in that stillness you find a clarity that was previously obscured by noise. Stoics like Epictetus have long advocated for this moment of quiet reflection. When you are disturbed by an event, take a moment to pause, step back, and examine the thoughts that triggered your reaction. Through silence, we gain the space to observe ourselves without judgment, to see where we are truly in control and where we are ruled by our emotions. This mirroring effect doesn't just expose the flaws in others, it reveals the power within you, the power to remain calm when chaos surrounds you, the strength to be unaffected by the insecurities of others. When you go silent, you're not just controlling the moment, you're controlling the narrative. You become the still point in a spinning world, and by doing so, you guide others back to clarity. The longer you remain silent, the more they are forced to confront the reality of their own emotions, and the more they will come to respect you for the power of your quiet presence. The power of detachment. In a world where emotions often dictate actions and reactions, silence becomes an essential shield. Emotions, especially destructive ones like anger, fear, or frustration, can cloud judgment, distort reality, and lead us into irrational actions. But when you choose silence, you create a buffer between yourself and the chaos of emotion. In that silence, you step outside of the emotional storm and observe it from a place of detachment. The Stoics teach us that while we cannot always control external events, we can control how we respond to them. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality, Seneca wrote. By remaining silent in the face of provocation, you give yourself the gift of time. Time to pause, time to assess, time to choose a measured response rather than being swept away by a tide of emotions. This emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about gaining perspective. It's about realizing that most of the things we worry about are either beyond our control or not as dire as they seem in the heat of the moment. Take a moment to think about the last time you were provoked by someone or something. Did you feel that immediate surge of emotion, the almost uncontrollable urge to react? In that moment, you were caught in the emotional whirlwind. But if you had paused, if you had chosen silence, you would have created the distance necessary to regain control. By holding your tongue and resisting the urge to lash out, you allow the intensity of your emotions to dissipate. This practice of emotional detachment isn't about denying your feelings, but understanding that they do not have to define your actions. Silence creates the space to separate your emotions from your responses. It's in this space that true wisdom lies. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you silence the noise and detach from the emotional chaos, you open yourself to better thoughts, ones that are rational, calm, and aligned with your deeper values. When others see you detach with grace, they may not fully understand it, but they will respect it. The ability to remain calm in the face of provocation is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of immense strength. The more you practice this detachment, the more you will realize that you have the power to choose your responses. And with that power, you begin to control the direction of your life. The catalyst for change. Lastly, the most profound reaction that comes from choosing silence is its ability to catalyze growth, not just in you, but in others. It may seem paradoxical, but when you choose to remain silent, you invite change into the situation, and not always in ways you expect. Silence often acts as a mirror that forces others to re-examine their behavior, their words, and their intentions. In this re-examination, growth happens, sometimes for them, but often for you as well. Silence has the power to break patterns. When we engage in a constant exchange of words, we fall into predictable patterns of behavior. But when one person breaks that pattern, when one individual chooses silence over participation, the entire dynamic shifts. The Stoics understood this well. What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about those things, Epictetus remarked. By refusing to engage in the emotional judgments of others, you create an opportunity for transformation. Consider the people in your life. How often do they engage in drama, complaints, or negative behaviors? By choosing silence, you show them a different way of being. Instead of feeding into the cycle of negativity, you become the force that disrupts it. Your silence acts as a subtle invitation for others to change, to reflect, and perhaps even to evolve. But this doesn't come without a cost. The choice to remain silent, to resist the urge to participate in the emotional games of others, is an act of courage. It requires the strength to stand alone, to trust that your stillness will eventually lead to positive change. And the most surprising part? This transformation often begins with you. The more you practice silence, the more you will learn about yourself. You will discover new depths of patience, resilience, and self-control. You will uncover hidden strengths you never knew you had. Stoicism teaches that the path to wisdom is through self-examination and inner growth. Silence accelerates this process. It provides you with the space to reflect, to learn, and to grow.